All right, are we live?
I don't know yet. Post it.
I'm working on
Post the link.
I can't get the link yet. I'll refresh.
Oh,
and
okay.
See.
Refresh and see if it's there.
All right. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Bliss monthly YouTube biz training. We're gonna wait for everybody to come in.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments how you're doing this week.
Yeah. How's everybody doing this week? We are still in Florida.
We can't leave Florida. We're never leaving.
It will not let us escape, man. But we're planning on leaving later today or first thing in the morning. We've changed all the contents and stuff. So.
All right.
Did you give it to everybody?
Almost. I just got to add the link in here.
Okay.
All right. All right. Looks like we got a lot of people on.
Huh. Oh wait. Oh my God, you guys. We went
live to everybody.
We went live
not
to
just
everybody.
our students.
Sorry we're late.
Wow.
Are you
Okay.
kidding me?
No. Okay. Well, this works though.
All right, guys. First off, we have to apologize. We are live to 81 people, so we must have hit the wrong button. This is typically our monthly YouTube biz meeting that we teach people that purchased our 10K blueprint or memberships. And so, what do we do?
Well, I think we just go through this.
Okay.
And we just go through. So this video is going to talk a lot about a YouTube channel, how to do a YouTube channel. If you're not interested in having a YouTube channel,
You're not going to be interested in this class, guys.
although you might just be curious. Some people are curious about the behind the scenes.
I can't
So
believe
this
we did
is
this.
a good
Can't believe we did
opportunity.
So-
Yeah, I'm still kind of
So for the past year, we've been doing a monthly meeting on usually the first or second Saturday of every month
Yeah.
for our students in Bliss, which is something that we started after the PISS video a year ago, almost a year and a half ago now, to build our own community, to build a community of other students that wanted to do a YouTube channel. And so we've been doing that. Unfortunately, this morning we hit the live button and it's public. So everybody's
Yeah.
going to see this. Today's video is going to be an overview of how we do the blueprint.
Yeah.
And we're actually planning for our students every single week for every Saturday, the next 4 Saturdays or 3 Saturdays throughout October, we'll be doing this.
Yeah, so, okay, we created our blueprint last year, but we kind of needed a refresher. So we decided that, even though we have this channel, we have all this experience, whatever, we're still students too. I don't think you ever stop being a
Nope.
student in any aspect of life, right?
Yep.
And so I feel like we were really needing a refresher on how to back to the basics of YouTube. So this video is the fundamentals, where we're going to go over our blueprint on how we do every video, but also talk about some of those fundamental foundational things that you need to have if you are going to do a YouTube channel. Things that I think a lot of people get the cart before the horse. They think about things like, oh, let's do a logo, but they've never really asked themselves important questions like, who am I serving? What's my purpose? Those sorts of things.
So seeing that we're live to everybody, we apologize again for that. This was only supposed to be for our students, but we'll give you a brief overview. Mercedes and I, we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary on doing YouTube videos, where we sold all of our stuff and we decided to RV full time.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy stuff, but about 6 months in, we decided to make our own classes and teach people, share with people how we do every single YouTube video that we do. And
we really meant it when we put our stake in the ground in that PISS video and said we'll create our own community, and we're gonna share what we do instead of trying to keep it like hidden or a secret. It's like there's enough to go around.
Exactly.
Because I think that you can have 2 channels that cover the same topic, but they're not going to cover it the same way.
Exactly.
Everyone's uniquely qualified to share a special message within them. And I think it's a disservice not to share it, right?
Right.
So I think that it's not a thing about like, oh, don't help anyone, or there's competition. It's more the opposite, about let's like work to be better together.
Yeah, and I think we're up to 52 students total now, which is what this was supposed to be today.
Yeah.
And we love our students, and everybody's
Surprise.
doing great. Quite a few have gotten monetized, and so Again, we apologize that we went live across the board, but we're just going to go ahead and move forward for our students' sake, guys.
Yeah, and this is not normally, like, we promise we'll get back to our vein. We promise that we'll get back to our vein. And those of you who've already done the blueprint, most of you guys have been made moderators, so we'll just rely on you guys to, like, if somebody asks the question, I feel like you guys are qualified to answer those.
So let's get started. So when Mercedes and I started RVing full-time, we thought that we would start a YouTube channel and document all of our travels for our younger daughter and also make a few bucks on the road. That was the plan until we realized how hard it is to do YouTube.
Yeah.
And so we ended up hiring a couple of consultants to show us how to do this. We gave ourselves a year to make enough money to kind of support the lifestyle. And so we hired a couple of consultants who taught us a program that we kind of made our own over the first 6 months of doing videos. And ultimately we opened that up. We took what we could from them, we learned what we could, we found out what worked, what didn't work, and we customized our own program that we called the 10K Blueprint because we spent $10,000 on consulting people to teach us how to do this so that we could effectively help as many people as we can.
Yeah, and you might be asking, like, so what did you pay someone to do? Because, you know, there's a lot of things about YouTube that we decided if we were going to do it, we really wanted to do it right. And we didn't have experience. I mean, I didn't have a background in, like, editing or that sort of thing. So we wanted to learn, and one of the big fundamentals that we learned is that, you know, every channel is unique. There's a value every channel offers. And a lot of people will just start recording stuff and throw it on YouTube without first thinking about what's the value that I bring to the table.
Right. What makes me uniquely qualified to serve those in the niche that I've chosen? We chose the RV niche. And so we were taught early on that it wasn't about us. It has nothing to do with us, and that you need to find information that people in the RV, full-time RVers, are looking for, and then be the best at presenting it in a way that will help them. So the first step in all of this is if you come in trying to do it for yourself or making it about you, you will fall flat on your face.
It's not about you.
It's not about you.
You don't matter.
You don't really matter. In the beginning, you've got to come up with content that's going to help people, you know, with a task or entertain them, but it's never about you. So you're going to be serving up information that's going to help an audience that you've chosen.
Yeah. And I think that you can have a value of, like, okay, have you guys ever seen those YouTube videos where they make a statue with matches and then they light it all on fire and it's like the Empire State Building or whatever, and then, you know, or like dominoes where they build it and you just have to see to the end what's going to happen? That's a value in and of itself. So we're not saying that your channel has to be an educational channel. We're not saying that you have to strike the souls of everybody that watches your video. Like, you don't have to be deep necessarily, but being very clear on what the benefit is to your channel. If you don't know what it is, then no one else is going to know what it is as well. So you got to get clear on, like, what your channel's about, how you're helping people,
who you're serving,
and what they need, what's their biggest problem, and how can you solve it. Because ultimately it's not about you. You're not the decision maker in this equation. The person watching is, because they're giving you their most valuable asset, which is their time. We have limited amount of time. We don't even know how much we really have. And so I think that half of the battle is just making sure that your channel is more centered around your person than yourself.
Exactly.
And I think another thing is that if just because somebody that has a certain group is doing their channel on this topic a certain way doesn't mean that you should do it that way too. So it's like, you know, if I wanted to be like Casey Neistat and start doing Casey Neistat videos, well, I'm not Casey Neistat.
You're not, exactly.
You know, best case I'll be second best, and that's that's probably not even likely. All right,
so our channel value proposition is, what did it start out as, babe? Sold all of our possessions to full-time RV with a toddler and a dog because life is so short. And when your audience starts getting sick of hearing that, it means that you're doing a really good job. And typically you want that to be as short as possible. And so now we've got ours down to pursuing freedom, independence, and adventure because life is so short. That is our channel value proposition. That's what appeals to people and makes them come back. And doing the channel value proposition with the consultants we work with when we started, man, it was hard. It was the hardest piece we had to do. And we found that with our students, it's the same thing. It is really hard to figure out what your channel value proposition is.
Yeah.
But once you get it, it clicks.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you want that moment that clicks, and the reason you need to repeat it is that even though you might do videos in a chronological order, that doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to meet you chronologically. So they might meet you like your 5th video in or your 20th video in, right? And so you can't assume, well, I talked about that in the first video. They'll obviously see it. You can't assume that. You don't know which video they're seeing. And so by mentioning it in all the videos, that's really important. And admittedly, we've kind of strayed from some of that sometimes. We don't mention, you know, freedom, independence, and adventure. And we notice that it's kind of a missed opportunity when we forget to include that.
It is. And again, I go back to it's not about us. Our people told us it can't be about you. You've got to create content that's going to help other people. And so it's not about us, but after you start, we built the RV Odd Squad, right? We call them our family on the road. And after a while, they started becoming interested in us. But mainly starting out, people were watching us to see what not to do, right? We were a mistakes channel. We were honest about everything we did. We shared our experience and the mistakes that we made, even if they were embarrassing. You know, and people were really attracted to that for some reason. And the more real we got, the more honest we got, the better our channel did. And so when we started out, we brought a lot of information that was going to serve our audience because our audience didn't know us yet. Once your audience starts to get to know you, they start to love you. They start to become interested in you. You know, and so now that we've been doing this almost 2 years and our audience is really interested in us and Sage and what's going on, and we share so much, we feel a responsibility now to go a little bit deeper. And so what that means is that we'll stray off of our blueprint that we've done since the beginning, just because we start to forget what got us here. And typically we pay the price when we do that.
Well, that's the thing though, right? Don't you ever realize that you kind of forget what got you where you are? I think that's one of those things that it's like, it's really easy to get in a groove and just get used to doing things a certain way. But everything worthwhile kind of evolves, right? It's constantly changing. And I think it's really important to remember that and to evolve with it. So one of the things I like about the blueprint is that as trends evolve, you can modify it to fit those trends.
Yeah, and some of our students, Liz Amazing is one that she is so good at the blueprint, and she constantly hits what she needs to hit, and she's done very well. A lot of other students will stray away from different parts of it, but what we've learned is that the more you stick to it, the better you're gonna do.
Yeah, just kind of like anything, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's see. Why don't we talk first about, we've talked about the channel value proposition, really having that foundation. Let's talk a little bit about the topic, the research.
Yes.
Because I think that's a big one.
So you're gonna try to look for it once you know who your audience is, you know what your niche is, you're going to start figuring out how to serve that audience. And the way you're gonna serve them is you're gonna give them information that is going to help them. And so you're gonna start looking for topics. What Mercedes and I started doing in the very beginning was we got to know all the RV YouTube channels, we started watching their stuff, and then that would give us topics. And once we found a topic that we knew we could share about, that we had experience with, we could shoot a video and give that to them.
Yeah, so research can take on multiple forms. You can find out a lot of information about, like, if I'm gonna make a video about like how to tie my shoe, you know, I can research different types of shoes and all that sort of thing. But another really good thing to do is just watch other videos on the topic and
take notes.
Take notes, but make sure that you don't copy, because
never copy anybody.
Yeah, because you don't want to do that. You want to find your own voice. But really ask yourself, like, what can you bring to the table
that nobody else can?
Yeah, or what do you, if you could you know, share with everybody on this topic, what would you share with them to really help them?
Exactly. And so we would go and look at the top 3 or 4 videos in an area. Mercedes and I would study it, we'd research it, and early on we did a ton of research. Guys, when we first started our YouTube channel, we worked 70, 80 hours a week.
Easily.
Easily, you know, just to keep up. We didn't have any of the the skill set that we needed. I was a contractor, Mercedes was a mortgage banker, and
Yeah.
so we had to learn editing, we had to learn sound, we had to learn lighting, we had to learn script. And what a lot of people don't know is that in our earlier videos, Mercedes and I, we would argue in every single video that we did.
Well, it's not just like a previous, like long-term, far away from the reality.
Yeah.
The reality is we still do all the time.
Right.
But I think that that's part of it, you know? That's part of it, and that's okay. And just getting, it's important to note, because you know how you see like a couple on YouTube and you think, oh, they never fight, they get along all the time.
There's a lot of stress in making these things sometimes.
Yeah, it's easier to make your own video than to both like do it at the same time.
But we find that the creative tension between us makes our videos a lot better.
Yeah, because when I'm fighting with him to add something, it's normally because I see something missing
that I can't.
And vice versa, which is hard to admit. When he's fighting with me saying like, oh, let's add this, usually it's because he sees something that, you know, we could benefit from having.
Exactly, and so we've become a really good team at helping people.
Yeah. So as far as topics, I mean, we've explored different topics, and what I would just say is that it does help if the topic you're covering is something you're passionate about, but also make sure that you are talking about something that's really going to help your person, that the topic is really in line with what your channel is about.
Exactly. And
which is the opposite of what we're doing right now.
So once you know what your title is, then we were trained that the concept of your video should start with a thumbnail, right? And the thumbnail is what Mercedes and I would figure out would be best, because one of the things about a YouTube channel is you can spend, like we did, 70, 80 hours a week doing all the work to put a video together, but if you don't grab somebody's attention with a solid title and then a thumbnail that's attractive, because remember, when people are searching for information on YouTube, there's millions of videos to choose from. And so you need to compete for those eyeballs. You're trying to get people's attention.
Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of all inclusive though. You're not just having the title ahead of time, the thumbnail ahead of time, even what you're going to say, especially in those first few seconds ahead of time. Because if you just think like, oh, I'll just turn on the camera and wing it, that works for some people. I don't want to dissuade anybody from doing that, but it's a lot more effective if you have a plan going in so that you know why somebody would want to click on your video.
Exactly. And so we call this the Triangle of Persuasion.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty old, from Aristotle.
Aristotle's, yeah.
So,
but we do it in every single video. We have it well thought out, and we're going to go deeper into that next week.
Well, yeah, because technology has changed a lot, but people really haven't. And so you have to incorporate ethos, logos, and pathos in everything that you do.
Every single video you do.
And you have to do it in the right order as well. I think it's really important, too, that almost like a recipe, you know, especially baking, right? If you don't get that baking soda or baking powder, if you switch the two, you know, you have a totally different recipe.
Yeah, and just one more thing. If you go back in our videos, you'll see that the blueprint that we're talking about and that we teach now is done in every single video. But what's interesting is in the last few months, we've started to stray away. We don't quite do our value proposition a couple of times, and we definitely pay the price when we leak away from that.
Yeah, and we just had a really good question about like the blueprint, a business plan. So that's actually one of the things that we're touching on a little bit later. But I think part of a good business plan is really figuring out first, like, who you're going to serve, right? Even if you were creating widgets or screwdrivers or whatever, like knowing what that product, physical product does. Similarly, you want to know what your channel does. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people, it's so easy to get the cart before the horse, as far as like, you know, it's really hard to build a business if you don't have someone to share it with, kind of thing, and someone watching. So that's why we always talk about the blueprint first. Like, get a good video system, get a solid, healthy channel that's alive and growing, and you can, you know, build something off of that.
And the most important piece of all of this, guys, is consistency. On YouTube, consistency is king. So set your schedule and hit it every single week. Mercedes and I, we still struggle with videotaping. Coming up on 2 years, we still struggle with... Mercedes is the type of person that likes to lay out a script, and she can follow it, right? She's a communications major. Me, I cannot follow a script, period. I can just tell stories, and so I kind of feed off of her. So sometimes we'll sit in front of the camera and we'll shoot video, and we'll be shooting for an hour, but we'll only take about 7 or 8 minutes out of that video.
I think that's one of the things too that is hard, is that we have different styles of like how we do things. But for me, a lot of people ask like, do you write out your whole video and then all scripted and that sort of thing? And I don't. I actually do more of an extemporaneous style where I'll bullet point with maybe 2 or 3 words, and then I know what that means.
Yep.
You know, like if it's the tying shoe topic, I know what bunny ears means, so I know what that means. I don't need to write it all out.
Yep.
John's gift is in storytelling, but it's also kind of hard in the sense that stories take time to evolve and that sort of thing. So he goes off on a tangent, and his passion is his greatest strength, but it's also a liability when we're like a tangent in, and I'm like, yeah, but now you're covering the 4th point, and
Exactly.
we're only on the
I'll
second
start
one.
telling a story, and I'll get out. I'll just tell a story, and the Mercedes gets getting angry at me because I'm
I
at
do
5
get
and
angry
6
at
and
him.
7, and so it can be frustrating. When we used to start the video and stop the video every couple of minutes and start over, now we just let it run.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we used to do. Okay, I'm gonna go on a tangent. So we used to do, which you should never do this. We wanted to get the video in one take, right? Because we had an old camera that only recorded for 12 minutes. Yeah, so you had to get
Canon
it.
60D, and it would fire up and heat up after 15 minutes.
So John would start the video, and if he made a mistake, he'd like start at the beginning. And I mean, it's him because I never make mistakes, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm being sarcastic here. But one of the tips that we learned was, instead of starting all the way at the beginning, just start at the sentence, or finish the word, finish the darn sentence, and then you can move on. Because, you want to get it all perfect from the get-go, but you forget that you can edit it.
Yep.
And another thing that helps a lot too is don't move around a lot, so that if you're editing, it doesn't look like,
Yep.
So
Yep.
just a side note that I wanted to talk about. But I think as far as the content goes, really getting clear on the value, not wasting people's time.
Don't
really
waste
being
people's
succinct.
time, guys. You might notice that our videos are fairly short as compared to others in the space.
Yeah.
We just don't like wasting people's time. If we're there to give them or talk about a topic, or we kind of instruct them on something, we want to use as little words as we possibly can, to be as succinct as possible. Because the game in YouTube is to get retention. So when an audience does pick your title, and then they click on your thumbnail and they start watching your video, you're going to want to hold them there as long as possible, which means you better have interesting content that continues to move quickly, because people get bored fast, and you're one click away from them to going somebody else because you didn't give them what they came to get.
Okay, we just got a phenomenal question.
Okay.
So, X-Base Guide, I don't know. So he asks, what's the golden length of a video? 10 minutes. And this is where I think people get it all wrong.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a
There's
golden
no such
length.
thing, as long as you can keep people watching.
As long as you got something to say. I mean, if I have a 6-minute video, but I want to make it 10 minutes,
Right.
I've just wasted 4 minutes of your life,
Yeah.
right? And vice versa. If I have a lot of important things to say, it is what it is. So even though one of the metrics on YouTube is watch time and how
Right.
much of the video do people complete, that's really secondary to how interesting is this in the first place.
Exactly.
Because people have the attention span of a gnat.
You
goodness.
better keep them busy, and you're
Yeah.
always throwing out what we call bait in the hook, which is in the front end. You give them coming attraction to what's going to be in the story,
Yep.
whether it's a quick clip of something dramatic that happens later, or you're telling them if they hang in and wait there for you, you're going to give them this, and this.
Yeah.
So it's so important to try to, and our longest video was 31 minutes.
Yeah,
I think that
ours
was our
isn't
1,000
long.
trails, and our typical video is about maybe 12 or 13 minutes, but our attention is usually only around 6 or 7 minutes, which means we can hold people's attention on our videos, believe it or not, only about 50 to 55% of the
interesting.
total video.
Hold on one second. Sage,
You got her?
Sage
Let me
wants
get
a
her. You go
puzzle.
ahead. You
Okay.
go. I got it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so keep asking questions. Now, typically this group is a lot smaller. I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise that that we have a bigger group of people. Again, this is more on the YouTube side, so if you're into RVing, we normally just talk about RVing stuff. But yeah, this is the class we just do monthly. But, some people go to YouTube for different reasons, right? And that's another big thing when it comes to video length. So if I'm watching a video later at night, like after work, I'm probably watching something that's a little bit more like random, just trying to like, you know, like turning on the TV and just kind of zoning out type stuff. So I'll probably watch something a little bit longer. But when I'm watching something in the morning or something related to a specific task, like how to do this with your email or that sort of thing, typically I am looking for a shorter video because I just want to find out the information that I want as quickly as possible. So that's another thing that I think goes into length. And Lance and Jenny at Crazy Empty Nest asked about, they asked about their gaming videos that people will sit and watch for hours. Well, the value in the gaming video, sometimes it's more a community thing, especially if it's live, that they're playing the game together. But also sometimes it's like you just want to see what's going to happen. And I think you guys were the ones that brought up that article about different generations typically watch different lengths of videos and for different purposes. And that's another big thing when it comes to getting really clear on who your audience is. That's a huge thing.
What do you want?
Oh, I just realized they're in the GG Mobile, so we don't have them.
We don't have them here.
Okay. John's been spending the last 5 minutes looking for something in the GG Mobile that we don't have.
Yeah, Sage requested a puzzle, and I basically went through every single toy. No, that's not it. No, that's not it.
And then I just realized it's not here. So, okay, a couple of really good questions that we got as far as what's a good click-through rate. So a click-through rate really depends because sometimes you'll see a really high click-through rate, but it's not getting served up to a lot of people. And sometimes you'll see a really low click-through rate, but it's being served up to like 1 million people. So 1% of 1 million people, who cares, right?
Yep.
So I think that's one of the things that really depends is that it depends on how much it's going out, the impressions, and other things factor into the equation. So it's kind of like, I would never just look at click-through rate or just look at watch time or just look at one thing altogether. I look at all of them and how they're all working together.
Yeah, and our main guy, Tim Schmoyer, who taught us a lot about this, he told us that the click-through rate can be one of the most deceiving metrics that you can look at because you look at it and you're like, whoa, I've got a 25 or a 30 click-through rate. I think the best one we ever had was 32 on a click-through rate.
Yep.
But it's not getting served up. So the numbers have to be pretty high and depends on your channel size for that to actually be worth anything. So we've had a click-through rate of 12 and that video's gone viral. It's a strange thing. Nobody knows what the YouTube gods think.
No, it's like,
that's why it's so important. Just go in with a good heart and look to help people.
Yeah.
Be honest with them and share what's going on and your videos will do great.
Yeah, I think the algorithm is really like an angry toddler that's pressing random buttons. And so, you know, it's like, but no, I'm kidding. The algorithm is really based on human behavior. So focus less on the technicalities and focus more on the people. What moves people? What gets people to click? What is interesting? What can people relate to? Ask yourself more those questions. Another thing that I'm hearing conversation about is about letting people know that that the video's over. And it's true. If you have a 10-minute video and at minute 4 you say in conclusion, I have no desire to listen to the last 6 minutes of your conclusion.
Or in next week's video or whatever it's going to be to let people get away. You want to keep them there in your video as long as possible.
You do. So up until the very, very end, it's almost like you should be delivering so much value that the end just kind of comes all of a sudden. Kind of like when you're talking with a really good friend that you're like, holy moly, we've been on the phone for 2 hours, I gotta go. You know, that you just kind of get lost in it. That's, your video should be the equivalent to talking on the phone to a really good friend.
Exactly.
So another question that we get, oh boy, there's a lot of questions. I'm gonna do my best to, the algorithm is a chimpanzee. I agree with you.
It is.
I agree. That's funny. So if you guys could put some questions, if I haven't addressed them, put them a second time, who cares? And put them in caps so that
all caps so we can read them.
Yeah, so all I see is like chimpanzee. Okay, I saw a video about, or a question about how much equipment do we use. In the beginning, the only equipment that we used was our iPhones.
Well, we started with a 60D camera, but that caused a lot of stress.
That's the one that
because
only
it kept
stayed on
heating
for
up,
15
like between
minutes.
10 and 15 minutes, we'd heat up, and then we'd have to let it cool off.
It was.
So that was frustrating. So after doing, I'd say 4 or 5 videos with our Canon 60D, we ended up just using our iPhones.
Way easier.
And a lot of people get really messed up and thinking they've got to have all this great equipment. And it's fun buying it, you know, the sound equipment, a nice camera. But the truth is remember, when you start a YouTube channel, the way you're gonna grow is by you gotta come from that place of helping other people.
Yeah.
Before every video that Mercedes and I did, we would say a prayer that we would do a video that is going to help as many people as it possibly can.
Yep.
And that's where your heart's got to be. It doesn't matter if it's not very good. The audio makes a big difference.
Well, yeah.
You know, if you get a lot of wind, but it doesn't matter. Make videos that help or entertain other people, and
Yeah.
you'll do just fine. The equipment, we were told that usually after year 2 or year 3, you got to start stepping up your game because people do start getting a little bit tired of you.
Well, it's almost like it should evolve. So
Right.
essentially, the value that you give should be similar, but it should really evolve. And as far, so like, yeah, we'll use our cell phones, but the downfall of this cell phone specifically is that the audio, if we're outside, the wind.
Oh, it's horrible.
So that's something, but that's like a next level problem.
Yeah.
What I hate to see is people saying we're going to start a YouTube channel. I haven't made $1 on AdSense yet, and I'm going to buy a $5,000 camera.
Exactly.
I hate that.
You don't want to do that.
No, just use what you have.
Just
because,
shoot, yeah, anything.
and
A
here-
GoPro, an old GoPro.
Yeah, because here's the other thing too. Every device that you get is one more thing to learn. If
Yep.
you buy 10 devices at once, you've just given yourself all this homework. If you buy
Exactly.
one device at a time and you learn it and figure it out,
Mm-hmm.
then you're actually adding to your arsenal and you're building a steady foundation
Yeah.
from which to make better videos.
Right.
All right, a couple of GoPro and iPhone, lots of that. Sweet spot for audience retention above 40%. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
50. If you could get more than half of the people that watch your videos
To stay
To
for
stay?
50. Yep. 40 plus. We like to hit them at 50.
Yeah.
Our highest has been 77%. That was our highest retainage video. And believe it or not, our most popular video, was Pissed,
Yeah.
which is why we started making these classes. We had to kind of make our own family of YouTube
Yeah,
creators, right?
we had to find our own.
And that video, our retention on that is below 30%. But for some reason, we still don't know why that video did as well as it did.
Yeah, well, and I think the retention has gone down because if we got 1 million views, that means that it was put out to 10 million people.
Right.
So the retention goes down because the more and more wide that they go with that video, the less likely they are to really put it in front of our person. And that's
Exactly.
fine.
Yep.
It's the most ironic thing. The more wide you go, the more deep you go.
Yep.
I mean, no, the more deep you go, the more wide you go. So the more specific you are on who your person is and what the value is you're giving them, you'll actually appeal to more people that way instead of trying to be all things to all people.
Yeah, and remember guys, YouTube does the heavy lifting when you start a channel. Once they figure out the demographic or people that are interested, the profile of your audience, right, your demographics, it is going to build your audience super fast. So just, again, be real, tell the truth, and go in trying to help as many people as you possibly can.
Yep.
And then once YouTube figures out who your niche is, they're going to help you grow. Again, just keep it real and help
Yeah.
as many people as you can.
All right, so a couple questions, unrelated, but Anthony wants to know if we're ever going to go back to Pismo Beach. I love California.
I
We
was thinking
finally
about
got a
Pismo
Jeep.
Beach because one of the worst sounding videos we ever did was on Pismo Beach. We got our truck
Yep.
stuck. It was called Stuck Truck.
Yep.
And the wind was like 50-mile-an-hour
it was
gusts.
interesting.
But it was interesting. So they,
people
well, yeah,
say.
the tide coming in. I had just buried
Yeah.
my truck, and people stayed and watched that video. But
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, Anthony. That
Yeah.
one video that's the worst sound we've ever had in any video.
But to answer your question, we'd love to return to Pismo.
We miss California. We
Yeah.
we loved Yosemite. We
the
loved
people were amazing.
Yeah, the people were just amazing. We love the people in Pismo. I mean, just cool, down-to-earth people.
Yeah.
We don't like the fact of what's going on in Pismo now with, them taking more and more of the beach away from people. We got really good friends with the jerk pirates. But we hope to get back to Pismo. We hope to get back to Yosemite.
Yep. We're very excited about that.
Yep.
All right. So another really good question was what software do you edit with? And so we use Final Cut Pro.
Final Cut Pro 10.
We might figure out Adobe at some point in our lives.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
I
It
doubt
just
it.
depends.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think that there's a lot of free software.
There's a lot of free software, guys. And again, remember, it's the content that you're
Yeah.
creating, not the quality in the beginning, not the software that you're using. Just make it interesting and make sure that it helps other people, and the rest of it will just fall into place.
Yeah, I think that that's the thing is that, remember, there's a person on the opposite side of that lens. And at first, I don't know, when you record your first video, you're going to be all nervous and no one's even in the room. And it's like, oh no, what if I say the wrong
It's
thing?
the strangest thing, guys, right?
Yeah.
When you first sit down in front of a video, even if it's your phone, and you hit record, There's no one there but you two, us two. But
Yeah.
it feels like everybody's watching. It's the strangest stage fright you've ever gotten. And we've been doing this, we're coming up on 2 years, we still get it.
Yep.
We still get it, you know, but it's just the consistency. Just you'll figure out what your mistakes are. You'll learn how to produce content that is going to help more and more people.
Yep.
And you get better at it.
Yep. And just don't be afraid to start. I think it's more important to start with what you have, what you can get for free,
Yep.
and do it that way, as opposed to saying, well, I have to invest all this money into this.
Which we did that.
Yeah.
We bought this and we bought this camera
It's
and we
still in
bought
the
sound
boxes.
equipment. It's still in the boxes, guys. You don't use it. Like Mercedes said, the skill sets that we had to learn was enough. That was overwhelming enough.
Yeah.
But each new piece of equipment is something else you have to learn.
Yeah. So if, we're going to give it a quick minute. If you guys have any additional questions, please put them in caps. I've done my best to get all the questions, but I am kind of a little all over the place. So if I miss your question, I'm so sorry.
Where would you find music to use that isn't licensed? We only use music that's we've got, what is it?
Well, we do video blocks or audio
Video
blocks.
box and audio box. That's where we pay for our
Yeah.
music. And believe it or not, we went with, who was the one that we did?
Epidemic Sound.
Epidemic Sound.
We
We
had
actually
kind of a
signed
not good
up, and
experience
yeah,
with
we had a
that.
really bad experience with them. We paid for the service, and then we hardly used music at all when we started our channel. And then we used a piece of music, and we got our first copyright claim.
Yeah.
And we had to prove to YouTube that we were licensed. We were. They said they were sorry, but we said goodbye.
Yeah. So, funny question. Did you make it to see your family? No. I'm embarrassed to admit that we're still in Florida.
We are still in Florida. Remember, the RV Odd Squad Palooza ended a month ago.
Yeah.
And we thought we were leaving on the 15th, which was right after the Palooza was over. Today is what, the 10th?
Yep.
So yeah, we've had struggle getting out of here, but we're still working our way out, and we're hoping to leave today or tomorrow.
Yeah. So we're still working on that.
Aloha.
Yeah. So all right. So it looks like we're close to the end.
Yeah, the one piece that we're gonna finish up with, because we believe that this is the most important reason that why our YouTube channel grow, and it's called engagement. When Mercedes and I started a YouTube channel, and we started really working hard to give content that was going to help other people, we loved it when people would engage with us, when they would take the time to leave us a comment. We love the fact that people took the time to watch our videos. And then they would leave us these comments. And Mercedes and I, for the first 14 months of our YouTube channel, we responded to every single comment that we ever got. And we started building community with the people. And those people, the RV Odd Squad, are truly our family on the road. I mean, we just spent a whole weekend at the Palooza a month ago with 48 of them. And these are people that we've been commenting with, but we never got to meet. You know, and I'm telling you, it's changed our lives. Out of all the work and out of all the blessings that we've got from our YouTube channel, the relationships with the people that have been on the other side of the computer, sharing about their families, sharing about their kids, you know, and so if somebody takes the time to watch your content and they leave you a comment, make sure you respond to them every single time. And you can ask our students, guys. We drive them crazy. We'll watch people, and if they miss a comment, we're just driving them crazy. You know, show some respect.
Yeah. So actually, that ties into we got a couple of good questions while you were explaining about the importance of engagement.
Okay.
The first, Art of RVing asks, what's your favorite video to do, like subject matter? And I think for me, it's the lives. Like, I really like the people.
Yeah.
You know, because I think the person at the end of that lens, that's like what really, I think that's the best part.
And my favorite part is doing the funny skits. All the funny skits that
we
we've
need
had.
You need more
We haven't done a
therapy.
funny skit. I need much more therapy.
He does.
Right?
I don't think I can handle how much therapy.
But yeah, I mean, you know, we had fun with those little skits and those little videos. And people, you know, like I said, when we first started out, nobody really cared about us. They were interested in finding out something, right? So we did the research, we found a topic, we presented it in a way that nobody else could, with the thought in our minds that we were going to help as many people as possible.
So a couple more questions. The most fun you've had filming, you answered that. What prescriptions or meds? No, we do this stone cold sober, okay? This is like, I wish we had something to blame it on.
Yeah.
Okay, a good question. How to deal with haters and negative comments? So
the hardest thing to get used to, guys.
but it's really sad when you think about it, because when we look at the comments in the YouTube studio system, we look at them by most recent. And so we'll see angry person 22, angry person 22, and they'll have like 8 comments, and they're on different videos, and they're all angry comments, right?
Right.
And so angry person 22 just spent, I don't know, a good hour of their lives.
It's sad.
Watching
It's sad.
a lot of our videos, giving us like views, watching the ads, even if they skipped them, it's still like this person is almost as dedicated as somebody that likes us, right?
Right.
They're like a fan, but just in the reverse kind of thing. They're even more they're more paying attention to what you say, like waiting for that mistake that you say so they can write it in the comments that you said something wrong. And when you look at that, it's really sad, because I've never seen a show that I didn't like on TV and kept watching it. I've never done a marathon of
We
a
literally
show.
have haters that come back every single week just to give us a thumbs down. It was the thing, and I don't think there's anything that can prepare you for when you get into this social media, you start making YouTube videos, right? Those first really nasty comments are really hard to deal with, especially for us. We did a video, what was our video that took off first?
Oh, the first fight.
First fight.
You almost got into it over an electric
campground
cord.
etiquette, right? And man, it just exploded with comments. But I'll tell you what, it was one of the hardest things to get used to, was people saying bad things about my wife, right? It's funny, they can say whatever they want about me, but if they said something about Mercedes, it really bothered me.
And I don't care.
And it took weeks to get used to it, but at the same time, now we're almost immune to it. And because we built such a really good community, the RV Odd Squad takes care of those.
Yeah, you guys
now
are like, go
we
away,
ignore
trolls.
them.
Yeah.
We completely ignore them unless they're just filthy, and then we delete them. But
Well, that's the
typically
next
with the
question.
nasty... Okay, go ahead, baby.
No,
Go ahead.
would you block the haters?
Yes. Well, the ones that are filthy.
Yeah.
The ones that are filthy or use really bad language or just filthy stuff, we will block those people. But we don't block everybody. I mean, believe it or not, what helps build community is negative comments. Negative comments helps your community pull closer and closer together. We start watching out for each other. That's how we were trained on it anyways.
Yeah, and it makes sense, kind of like when you go to BBB and you see the A++, and you only see three comments, and they're all really nice, and you think like, that was your mom and your brother and your sister.
And it's
like,
not real life. There's a balance,
yeah.
right?
Whereas if you look at a review of something and you see some people like it, some people don't, and you see that more in between thing. So rather than delete everybody that disagrees with you or gives you any criticism, it's way better to have it there. And especially, this is the hard part, is the criticisms that are actually intelligent criticisms.
And they're accurate, right?
Yeah.
So you go in and then you start reading comments, and then your mind starts to change. Somebody said to me once, man, you were a real jerk. That was a lot of, what did they call it? Passive aggressiveness. I was called passive aggressive, and I got really pissed off when I first saw that comment. But then overnight, I really thought about it, and he was absolutely right. I was passive aggressive to somebody. So try to have an open mind when you're reading the comments, right? Always look to where you can be better than you were the day before, right?
Yep.
And so we've actually come back with a second video to apologize. Yeah, hey man, you were right. I was wrong.
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird dynamic. I think that we've covered most of them. We're getting a lot of questions on the RV side that I think we can address, like some domicile and those sorts of things.
So, well, just a heads up, guys. Yeah, just a heads up. This was our monthly YouTube biz meeting that we hit the wrong button on. This was not supposed to go live to everybody. This was only for our students. There's about 52, 53 total students. Yeah. We do one of these every single month, usually the first or second Saturday of every month. We've been doing them for a year. It looks today like we did something wrong where it went live to a lot more people than just our students. So again, we told you in the beginning, if you weren't interested in building a YouTube channel, then this probably you wouldn't be interested in learning much, because that's what this was about.
Yeah. So I think that we're at a place where we can...
Hey, Johnny Fitzgerald, what's up? What's up, Johnny?
Yeah, he talked about you being a storyteller. I'm like, it's an Irish thing.
It's an Irish thing. We can tell a story. We can fight.
Yeah. All right. So like John had said, this is a video going over our blueprint. And so the first section of the blueprint is a fundamental section where we go over the whole thing similar to what we've done here, and we go really in depth depth in how to find your channel value proposition. And then the next section, what we're gonna do next week, Saturday at this time, but this time it is gonna be for our students. We're gonna talk about how to set up the channel, really from the eye of the viewer, because I think a lot of people do it all wrong. They set up their channel wrong and then wonder why they're not kind of growing. So we're going to, if you're interested in that.
If any of you, if there's any that are interested in building a YouTube channel that you'd like to actually learn what we do have a class. It's Obliss, OBLISS.me. If you go there, you'll see what we offer. Typically, we only take 1 or 2 coach students at a time.
Yeah, that part.
And so we shut that down right away because we spend a lot of time. The people that come in and they work it, we work just as hard as they do.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna try to get a link to that.
Yeah, let's see if we can grab you guys a link for those of you who might be interested in doing a YouTube channel.
And so we have a couple of different options. One's just like the monthly sort of deal, and then the other one is more intense.
Yeah.
So for those of you that
and
are
this is how we ended up. This is how we ended up funding our channel, guys. We were 6 months in, and we had all these companies reaching out to do sponsorship. So we were going to have to do, what was that thing that we didn't want to do?
Oh yeah, or Patreon.
Patreon. We didn't want to do Patreon. We're like, well, how the heck are we going to monetize this? And that's when we decided, hey, let's share our experience about what we learned from the people we paid to teach us how to build a YouTube channel. And this is how we monetized our channel. We didn't like sponsors because they would say, you got to say this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
That's not who we are.
I don't like that.
We got to know a product. I mean, and when we refer you guys to anything, you are truly family to us. We love you guys, and we don't want to send you any crap. We don't want to give you anything that we haven't tried, that we know that's not a good company. So
yeah,
we got a lot of people when your YouTube's channel starts doing really, when they reach out with big money offers, you know, $3,000-$4,000, and they tell you, just you got to say this and this and this, and you got to love our product, and the product's not great, so we can't do it.
we got this one offer from this razor company.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's your rate? And so John and I were like, let's just say something ridiculous. So we were like, $3,000 per minute, minimum of 3 minutes. And they were like, okay,
yeah, for 9,000, and then we had to basically say no. We were just kidding. We don't even know what the rate is. So we do not sell any videos. We use products, and over the first 2 years of our RVing experience, we truly believe that all the products that we suggest are the best products out there. So much so that if any of the RV Odd Squad has problems with this stuff, now us, the RV Odd Squad, as a community, we have power to get people. So you're not by yourself. So if we get an email that, hey, Marty did this, or hey, TST was missing this, Mercedes and I can make a phone call for you and get it taken care of.
Yep, real quick question. TubeBuddy, vidIQ, Morningstar, TubeBuddy all the way.
Oh, Mountain Beaches is coming up on 10,000 followers, subscribers. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Norman Kim, we're heading your way, hopefully today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we are hoping to meet you guys somewhere up in northern Utah where you guys are at by the Idaho border. We'll keep in touch with you guys and let you know.
Yeah, so I think we're good. This is not our normal schedule.
Goat Shed, Lynn, we want to meet you if we're in Texas.
Yep.
Can't wait to meet Kim at Rometown Girl. Can't wait to meet Liz.
Yep. We're excited.
So guys, we apologize that this went live to everybody, but again, if you're interested in learning how we do our YouTube channel and you want to make a few extra bucks on the road,
and if not, thanks for
joining us and watching. Yeah,
it's always curious. It's always interesting to see what's gonna happen. You know. Yep. Ooh, Arizona, Lance and Jenny. Okay.
Oh, we're there. You guys saw my Jeep, right, Lance and Jenny?
Yeah.
Yeah, Crazy Empty Nest. Check them out too.
All right. Well, we love you guys and thank you.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.